What you was thinking when Tank did that when he took the knee? What you was thinking when he took the knee?
I can't speak on it.
Can't think on that?
Can't speak on it.
He did some bullshit though?
I can't speak on it.
You no personal opinion, nothing?
Can't, especially you.
Now I'm just like, all right, now I'm confused. I don't know what's going on.
Did you think he was stopping the fight? He had a towel in his hand.
To me, I didn't think he was stopping the fight because I was so focused on the ref counting.
Referee Steve Willis just shared something surprising about what really happened in the boxing ring. In the 9th round, when Devon Davis went down on one knee, Willis began counting. But then, something unusual happened that many boxing fans missed. Tank Davis ran to his coach to grab the towel, and the coach yelled at Steve Willis to stop the count. And Willis actually stopped counting.
So that's what really was going on. I was confused when he looked at the ref, but when he took the knee, I was like, and I grasped the concept that he was on the ground. I was like.
Report says that Devon Davis's team gave a statement to the New York State Athletic Commission. The exact words were not shared with the public, but some say Davis and his team tried to bribe the referee and told him to stop the count. The judges might also be involved since people have accused them of being unfair several times since the fight. Something big was lost after Saturday's PBC pay-per-view event in Brooklyn, New York. In the main fight, referee Steve Willis didn't see a knockdown, which may have cost Lamont Roach Jr. his WBA lightweight title and ruined his chance at a huge upset win against star boxer Devon Davis.
Simple. So I was like, all right, the ref started counting. While I'm looking at him, I'm like, the ref started counting. But I see him get up and go to the corner.
The New York State Athletic Commission is still looking into how referee Steve Willis made a mistake during Lamont Roach Jr.'s knockdown of Devon Davis on Saturday night. On Wednesday, a group on ProBox TV discussed what happened. Boxing expert Dan Rafael, who runs the Fight Freaks Unite newsletter, said that if just one thing had been handled correctly, Lamont Roach would have won the fight. He also said Willis's bad job cost Roach a championship and a chance to give America's top fighter his first loss. A lot went wrong that night, and it all worked against Lamont Roach.
I want this to be a knockdown because it should be.
And you asked him, right? Why you stopped counting?
Yeah, I asked him, literally. I said, why you stop counting?
Now, to Lamont's point, you will see it and you will hear it, him ask.
On Wednesday, officials from across the country said that Matthew DeLalio, the head of the New York Commission, is in a tough spot as he deals with referee Steve Willis's mistake. Willis had started an 8-count after Devon Davis took several punches from Lamont Roach and went down on one knee. But he stopped counting when Davis walked to his corner, where his coach Calvin Ford wiped his face with a towel. Davis later said something from a hair product burned his eye, and he just wanted relief. Some people think DeLalio should take a point away from Davis for breaking the rules and give Roach the WBA lightweight title, since the fight ended in a majority draw. Others say that wouldn't be fair to Davis, who is a strong puncher and might have fought harder in the last 3 rounds if the knockdown had been officially counted.
In round number 9, Gervonta Davis takes a knee, landed a right hand, then 2 jabs afterward. What were you thinking when this happened? Were you surprised as everybody else? What was on your mind?
Man, I was surprised, man. I ain't gonna lie. I thought it was a 10-8.
For the panel, which included retired California referee Jack Rice, trainer Stephen Breadman Edwards, boxing writer Dan Rafael, and ProBox TV regulars Chris Jerry and Paulie Malignaggi, all agreed that Roach's bent knee should have been called a knockdown. Gary Jonas, the founder of ProBox TV and an advisor to Roach, sent an official appeal to the New York Commission, asking them to name Roach the winner. The appeal listed several reasons: the missed knockdown, Davis turning his back and walking to his corner, and his coach Calvin Ford stepping into the ring during the round to help him. Edwards made an important point, saying that while mistakes happen, they always seem to help the star fighter. He also said Steve Willis has had a great career, but this moment clearly caught him off guard.
He was stopping the fight, but then again, when I look at him in the corner, I'm like, what is going on? I don't know. I don't know now. I just don't know what's going on, besides the fact that
referee Jack Rice said that officials have some flexibility during a fight because they're the only ones in control inside the ring. But Paulie Malignaggi disagreed, saying a fighter isn't allowed to call their own timeout. Dan Rafael also pointed out that they could have used the replay to review the knockdown, but they didn't. Malignaggi then said the best solution would be to have a rematch as soon as possible, right back at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. On his podcast, well-known trainer Teddy Atlas also gave his honest opinion about the refereeing when he was asked about what happened in round 9.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I am, but I'm ashamed of myself. I am so cynical. But this sport has made me cynical. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's going to make...
Teddy Atlas suggested that the referee might be skilled, but could have been influenced or even bribed, because he probably wouldn't have done the same thing if it were Roach. He said, "We need better referees, ones who are well-educated and properly trained. I'm not saying the problem was honesty because I can't be sure, but we definitely need refs who understand the rules, make the right calls, and have the courage to stick to them." He also said he doesn't believe the referee would have let Roach get away with what Tank Davis did because Davis is a star.
It's going to reprimand this referee. What are they going to do? I mean, it happens too often. It's happened too often. I don't know. We need a national commission. That's the only thing I could think of. But
he also said he thinks Tank Davis might have set
talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th.
At the Barclays Center.
We was talking shit,
he wasn't
right?
sure, but
he
it
like,
been a new record.
You ain't gonna win. Any of y'all had me getting knocked out to all this. I'm going to go back and look at y'all pages. I promise you.
This event brought in a huge crowd.
I promise you.
Davis is a star with a big fan base,
I'm so glad.
And he always does well on pay-per-view. While he didn't know the exact numbers for this fight, he said Davis is one of those fighters who always pulls in strong pay-per-view sales, and all that star power follows him wherever he goes.
Right now, but the last thing I want to say to put a bow on this one, Bud, we talked about the controversial part, but I want to finish with the great part. That was high-level boxing.
When so, a referee lets a fighter take a knee, which isn't actually allowed under boxing rules, and doesn't count it as a knockdown in the 10-8 round it should have been. That's a serious problem. Tank Davis had just been hit with a jab before taking the knee. I'm not trying to go after him. People already say I defend him too much or hype him up. And to be fair, he is a great fighter. He's skilled, powerful inside and outside, patient, smart on defense, quick with his hands, and can throw combos, go to the body, counterpunch, and set traps. He does it all. But in this case, he was wrong, and he got away with it because the sport allowed it. The issue isn't the fighters. The problem is with the people who run the sport. We see these kinds of things happen too often, and it needs to stop.
The great part. That was high-level boxing. That was two guys at the highest level showing their skills and everything that goes with it. And the contrary to what a lot of people think.
Teddy Atlas also said a referee can't ignore the rules just because of who the fighter is. Tank Davis got hit with a jab, and a second or two later, he went down on one knee. That's a knockdown, plain and simple. If your knee touches the canvas right after getting hit, it's a knockdown. This isn't football. There are no fair catches in boxing. As someone said last night, if it were football, that would be a touchback. In boxing, rules exist for a reason. Even Terrence Crawford, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters up there with Inoue and Usyk, joked that he didn't know that was a rule. He said, "I must have been sleeping when they passed that one." Maybe he was out doing road work when the rule, which doesn't actually exist, came up. Like Atlas said earlier, this isn't the Indy 500. You can't just pull into pit row because you need your oil changed, your tires swapped, or grease wiped out of your eye. There's no pit stop in boxing. Tank went down on a knee, and while Roach didn't go after him, he had every right to, because the rule is simple. Protect yourself at all times.
Guy miss and you counter, and then all of a sudden you're in front of him. Boom! You're the invisible man. You're on the. That's sweet science too. Yes, and it's easier to see. It grabs your attention. Oh wow! Look at that guy. He's on the outside.
I've seen fighters hit, Opponents who are turning or walking away, and the referee doesn't stop it unless the bell rings or they step in. You have the right to hit someone in that situation. Roach had the right to attack, but he showed sportsmanship by not going after Tank when he turned. I give him credit for that. But when Tank turned,
This is why Lamont Roach beat Tank. Roach chose to sit in the pocket against Tank, who is a power puncher. This meant that his defense had to be on point. Tank relies on his explosiveness and counter.
Maybe he could have caught Tank and knocked him down while he was turning. It wouldn't have been the most sportsmanlike thing, but he wouldn't have been wrong. Who was wrong here? Tank and the referee. Tank got to take a knee, go to his corner, get whatever was blocking his vision wiped away, and then continue. If the referee had scored that as a 10-8 round, like it should have been, even though Tank wasn't hurt, Roach wouldn't have ended up with a draw. He would have won the title. A lot of people with a Ply 900 ticket are feeling pretty good right now.
Middle of the furnace with all the flames and everything going, and you don't get burnt up. You don't get torched. You don't get scorched. That is high level.
Finally, the boxing coach said that Roach really bullied the bully. It's like in the schoolyard when the bully always gets his way, but one day someone stands up to him. Suddenly, the bully isn't acting the same, not as aggressive. My cousin had a saying that fits here. When you depend a little on intimidation, but the person you're trying to intimidate doesn't get scared and ends up becoming the intimidator, that flips everything. You won't hear that from many people, but it's true in this case.
Oh, something funny. When we was talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th, we was talking shit, right? But he like, you ain't gonna win.
Roach,
I know something funny.
A former amateur
when we was
rival
talking in like the 12th round, I think the 12th or 11th,
story after handing
we was talking shit,
Willis,
right?
a 1,600 betting favorite, the first blemish of his professional career in their controversial majority draw at the Barclays Center. So did the New York State Athletic Commission, which was less than transparent afterward and claimed on Monday that a technical issue prevented it from reviewing the instant replay footage in the allotted time. By not calling the voluntary knee taken by Davis in round 9 a knockdown, the fallout cost Roach both the 10-8 point swing that could have decided the fight in his favor and potentially millions of dollars. Those earnings could have come from Roach entering their inevitable rematch as the defending champion.
What you talking about? He like, they ain't gonna give it to you. I was like, oh, is that right? So, you know, that's how boxing works.
The New York State Athletic Commission told multiple outlets that it's still reviewing the situation, but the most unexplainable part of the story, which still deserves more attention, is this. What the heck was going on with Davis? While it was definitely a shock to see the 30-year-old from Baltimore struggle against such a big underdog after dominating the sport for so long, that's not what was most surprising. Roach actually looked like the bigger fighter after bulking up to lightweight. He relied on the confidence and experience he gained growing up in the same boxing circles as Davis, and that helped him deliver the most impressive performance of his career.
Sad to say, you know, that's how boxing works. I'm not, like, totally upset. I figured with a superstar, you won't get.
The biggest questions surrounding Davis were about his mindset and the strange behavior he showed before, during, and after the fight. This has led to the question, was this just an off night for one of the sport's pound-for-pound best, or has Davis lost the competitive fire and killer mindset that made him such a huge draw at the box office? Star boxers being late for media. Events isn't new, especially for Davis, who was nearly 2 hours late for the 2023 kickoff press conference against Ryan Garcia in December. But Davis took tardiness to a whole new level when he showed up nearly 4.5 hours late for his first event with Roach in New York. He followed that up by being 90 minutes late to last Friday's weigh-in. Davis was his usual playful and loose self during fight week, but his behavior during the fight was concerning. He twice took his eyes off Roach to argue with referee Willis in the first half of the fight, only to eat clean punches in return.
Get too much on paper, but I damn sure thought I had it. Especially when they announced the score for him, I was like, oh, they gonna give me a split decision win.
Prime video cameras also caught Davis yelling over the advice of his trainer Calvin Ford in the corner at times between rounds. He screamed, "Listen to me!" Then there was the uncalled knockdown in round 9. After Roach landed a series of jabs, Davis started aggressively blinking his left eye before turning his back to the action and taking a knee. He quickly got up and ran to his corner, where Ford used a towel to wipe his eyes, which could have been grounds for disqualification under the rules. Referee Willis briefly began the mandatory 8 count, but stopped at 3 and warned Davis before allowing the action to continue.
Oh, yeah, I said, here it goes. But as soon as I heard that 114, I was just like, damn, all right, it's over with.
Not only was Davis's explanation of what happened during the post-fight interview peculiar, but his demeanor was noticeably less serious, especially considering how close he came to losing his title and unbeaten record. The crowd booed him afterward, which seemed to either reflect his embarrassment or disinterest. Davis explained, "I just got my hair done 2 days ago, and she put grease in my expletive, so the expletive was coming into my face when I was sweating, and it burned my eyes." He added, "Damn, why are y'all booing? I'm just saying, expletive. These are real facts. Come on, man, look at my hair. I just got my expletive done. But it's all cool, man. You know how they get. They love you, then they hate you. Turn around and they'll love you again." An interview. A. Davis, who has a mandatory rematch clause in his contract and expressed interest in one on social media Monday, appeared a bit more humble while explaining his performance at the post-fight press conference. However, his comments revealed a lack of situational awareness regarding the rules. "Nobody likes a draw from a guy who gets knockouts and things like that, but it's cool," Davis said. "I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have done more. I was lost and lost track of the rounds. That's why we need ring girls. I didn't know what round it was. Facts."
Yeah, man, it's just crazy. I ain't gonna lie. It's okay. We gonna run it back. It's okay.
"I didn't want to get caught while my eyes were burning. You can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take the knee," Davis explained. "But I didn't really know that you could get disqualified for receiving mid-round corner assistance. When Willis started counting, I was like, what the hell? But it's cool." Although Davis has had close and relatively competitive fights in recent years with the likes of current welterweight title holder Mario Barrios and former 140-LB champion Isaac Pitbull Cruz, the Roach fight marked his first noticeably flat performance since 2017. That was in the co-main event of the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor super fight, where Davis missed weight and lost his IBF 130-LB title on the scales, then was booed for most of an uneven performance against Francisco Fonseca, which ended with an 8th-round knockout. The years following that saw Davis become a true global star, with the distractions of constant and concerning headlines.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on?
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while